My name's Brittany Chucker. I'm one of the co-founders for FocusVue. And the idea for FocusVue came about because I work in the security industry and I have for a long time. When I'm out in the field, I notice a lot of inefficiencies where the customers will go out into the field. They'll have basically a piece of paper and a pen, and they'll take very extensive notes on the paper and pen. And what happens is there's so many parts and pieces that are included with putting a quote together. 90% of the time, parts and pieces are, because of human error, left out. So what ends up happening is when the customer goes back into the office to actually put the quote together, pieces are left out, so parts are missing. Change orders are then applied. The quotes take forever because you have to manually put all the parts and pieces together for this massive project. So we decided to basically create a virtual catalog for the security industry and piece together the parts and pieces for the customer to help eliminate human error. The goal behind it is to be an industry standard. We love the idea of taking raw talent and giving it the tools needed to thrive in the workplace. So this was a tool that really hit home to us to be able to do that. With automation and making quoting a lot easier for customers, it creates an overall better experience for not only the end user, but the salesperson who's in charge of putting the quote together as well. So it's a funny story, a little bit of divine intervention. I used to actually waitress back in college. So a big design aspect of this was I kept thinking of it as almost like an ordering screen that you should just be able to punch certain things and it automatically pops up with all the parts and pieces for that product you're looking for. Very similar to like if you go into a Wawa sandwich shop and you order yourself a sandwich. That was the vision that kept going through my head. So my business partner, Vince Natali, he had actually worked with Daniel in the past, like 10 years ago on a app that he was designing. When Vince had originally worked with him, Daniel was living in Ukraine, and flash forward to 10 years later, when we reached out for this project, Daniel had not only moved to Tampa, Florida, where we're located, but he had also had a lot of experience with building menus for restaurants. So it was like a perfect fit. There's a lot of moving parts and pieces, a lot of updates that constantly need to be done, and a lot of different levels of connecting the platform from manufacturer to distributor to customer to end user. So Daniel was extremely helpful in understanding the entire aspect of this project. There's also some complicated connections where we had to actually work with EDIs instead of APIs. And Daniel had previously done work with that in the past and was able to help us in that department. So Daniel walked us through the process of building out the wireframes, and we actually had put together milestones of expectations for where we'd like to see ourselves in specific periods of time. So Daniel was extremely helpful of, let's start here, and A, B, C, and D must be included in phase 1. And then phase 2, we can start working on these milestones, and phase 3 on these to complete the project. So he was extremely helpful in putting all of that together in a very timely manner. And he was really, he helped explain a lot of complex situation and as to why certain aspects of our project would be included in phase 1 versus phase 2 and 3. He actually not only got us in touch with an investor because we were a startup company, but he helped us with implementations of advice on how to further along our project. I've never built a software before. However, Vince Natali has worked in software development. He's familiar with more of the terminologies than I am, the why, the how. Daniel was very knowledgeable in helping to explain it in very easy terms. He understood what we were asking. I would 100% recommend Design Key. Not only were they extremely helpful and knowledgeable, but the entire process was extremely well thought out. We started out with wireframes so that we could map out exactly what we wanted to do. We had our phases and our milestones pre-planned. So we knew where we would be at for phase 1, 2, and 3. We knew the breakdown of cost for each one. We knew why certain phases needed to be included in phase 1 to make it easier for phase 2. And then we could build out phase 3 as long as we had the foundation done in the beginning. Again, from someone who has never been in the software world before, and I feel like I have a much better understanding of it now. And that's a lot thanks to Design Key. And again, this is a very complex, very large scale project. The grasp that Daniel had of it and the understanding of the entire process was amazing. Daniel even took it upon himself to come out on site so we could do a mock walkthrough with him so he could almost experience what the customer goes through. So, and that was extremely beneficial as well. So I would highly recommend Design Key.